neutral spot, but a spot easy for everybody to get to. And this is the year that you got to be ready for anything. And they're the middle place, that the middle school that's got locker rooms and 2 ice sheets, and everybody can get to it fairly easy. So this is the year that it's happening, and away we go.
Coach, I'm going to send you to Josh from The Athletic up in Toronto next.
Hey, Bob. Yeah, just a quick question on Mike Koster. What do you think, in your opinion, his freshman season, what do you think has allowed him to have success this season?
Well, I think the keys for us were the fact that he went to the USHL for a year, after high school. Let his body get another year older, a year stronger. He really worked hard this off season with the skating, spent some time with Jack Blatherwick, on his own out there, world renowned in training and on skating. And I've heard that comment from a handful of scouts who had watched him in the USHL. It said, they couldn't believe the improvement in 1 year from a skating standpoint. He's always had ice in his veins with the puck, but he's just more confident and year older, year stronger, and scratching the surface, because he's got some big levels. He's got a chance to be a real special player here for us.
And what do you think he has to do to I guess just this season, hit some of those next levels? Like, what would you like to see from him?
Well, I really, he's on the right track. Like, the journey that he's on, the track that he's on, gaining confidence, continue to build strength. His body's really turning from, when you still look at him, I got a 16-year-old son. I mean, he looks like he could be hanging out with my 16-year-old son. He's just a young man. And his body becomes, kind of goes from boy to man. He gets stronger. When all that collides together with his hockey ability, I mean, he's going to even take it to another level, and he's been outstanding for us.
Our next question will go to Jess Myers.
Hi, Bob. You go from a pretty defensive-minded team in Notre Dame to a more wide-open offensive series against Arizona State. Obviously, Ohio State's known maybe a little more for their defense. Is the key to just play your game no matter what the opponent does, or how do you handle kind of the contrasting styles you've seen in the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, right now our concentration is it's not, we're going back a couple of weeks, but we did not play a good series against Notre Dame. And I said, I don't think we were coached well. We weren't ready for that. And that's on us, because we knew better. We've been doing battle with them since I got here. And with that, they were ready that weekend. And we were kind of, I told our World Junior guys were tired. Like, so we're over that. And we got to really get back to our detail. We did that a week ago in practice. We're doing it again now. I'm not guarding against what happened, scoring 20 goals. Our guys know that that's not going to happen. And like I said, I'm glad we're going on the road. Ohio State, we know we're digging into them now. We've crawled through their film this week and done the things we had to do in practice to get ready for Ohio State.
And Steve Rollick has talked about just, how young his team is in a lot of areas. Do you look at them and maybe see your team from a year ago a little bit?
You know what? I just had that question. And honestly, when we watched the film of Ohio State, granted, like last year, Lisinski and Miller, the guy that could bomb it from the point, they, you knew where they were. But when we watch film now, it's the same Ohio State team, like how they play, what they're doing on their breakout, how they forecheck. Look at the nuances in the special teams, and that's what we're coaching against. And, of course, when Miller was pounding the puck, as Miller, right, last year?
I think so.
Yeah, of course you got to know when he's going to wind up, because it was a heat-seeking missile. We don't really talk about the player wearing the jersey. You got to take care of number 9. He's over here, Lisinski. It's the same way, if that makes sense. Like, are they younger than a year ago? Yes, absolutely. When we watch film, they're playing very similar in systems and styles to how they played. And so are we, but we're a year older. We're a year stronger. We're just doing it better than we did, we're in the first part of a year ago. So it looked like Ohio State to me when we watched them on film.
And then just any update on Stoddicker and just generally your health? How you looking for the weekend?
Stoddickers look great in practice this week. I think he could have played last week if it were playoffs and maybe even 2 weeks prior, but we held him out. And Reedy, was out and they're both back and they're ready to go. We took the cautionary side especially with Stoddicker, with both of them. Even Reedy was out and he could have played if it was playoffs, but it was that time of the year, so they're ready to go.
Thank you.
Let's go to Eric Vigo next.
Coach, you'd mentioned on your radio show this week that you were worried that your team maybe had picked up a few bad habits out of the weekend series with the ASU. How do you know going into this weekend if they've moved past that and are playing the right way against Ohio State?
Did I really say that?
A little bit.
Did I say habits?
Yep. Might have crept into the game.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm going to change that. And what I'm more worried about than habits have to happen over a series of time. And maybe I use that loosely. It's really frame of mind, it's our mentality where we have to guard against, it's not going to be easy. Like last week, goal scoring came a little easy for us, but that's over. We still have good, strong habits. We've had a real good week of practice and we're going on the road. I'll go back to that. And we haven't seen any of that right now. We got to get back to work and that's all we're shooting for right now. We've done some things to guard against. We got a real good group. We don't let them get they're not like big headed after 20 goals. I think they know that was an aberration. That won't happen again in our lifetime.
Is there one detail you're going to be looking for when the puck drops this weekend for a good habit?
I want to see that our forecheck is we really get our ground game going, and that means we're ready to play. And we're moving our feet in the offensive zone. We're winning battles, and we're putting pressure with four lines. We're doing a good job defense. So we got to make sure we're moving our feet in high battle level right from the get go.
I see we have a question from Jeff Wald.
Coach, you mentioned that 20 goals in two games is unlikely to happen again. I mean, have you ever seen that in your career before? And how do you follow that up here, knowing that you're going to have a tighter series?
Yeah, 1979, we scored 18 in a playoff game in high school. I remember. College, I know. I mean, it's happened before, but that's what it's a rarity. I mean, decades before something like that happens again. And you guys all heard, that's not Arizona State. They're a way better team than that. We just caught them when they were down and injured and tired from a long road trip and what they're going through. They're going to recharge their battery and get back after it.
And I guess one quick follow-up, if I could, just kind of what does that tell you about where your guys are at confidence-wise with, where your offense is at when you have that many guys get multi-point nights?
I hope that if there's a side that I really hope that I've been saying all along is that our team had another, we have another level we can hit offensively. And I don't want to, if you go, what level? I know McLaughlin and Walker could score more than they could. We all know that. But it's been the last handful of weeks, not counting Notre Dame, we're starting to, I'm going to repeat it again. We're starting to see Walker and McLaughlin be Walker and McLaughlin. Rant has been pretty steady. Myers has been fairly steady, little off, from Christmas, but he's coming back. McManus now, okay, let's hope that's a weekend. He's got 5 goals against Arizona. Okay, those got to step up now. Jackson Nelson, Brodzinski, like that. We had more guys to give more offensively. Our decor, big weekend out of those guys to build some confidence. Time will tell, not just one weekend, over time, are we going to take that next step offensively? And I believe we had one to hit, and hopefully that's a sign we're moving in that direction.
Jess Meyer says he has a fun one for us to end on.
So the young quarterback against the wily veteran, who do you like in the Super Bowl, or are you just happy the Packers are out?
Well, I'm extremely happy the Packers are out. Though it would have been fun with Rodgers because what a season he had. But, it is going to be, to think this is his 10th Super Bowl, that's just mind-boggling that you actually, for all those years, you kind of rooted against him. Now you find, yourself, I do, kind of rooting for him right now at his age. So let's hope it's a great game. We've had a few in the last few years, but I'm kind of pulling for Tampa on this one. Is our Gopher going to be back? Is Winfield going to be back?
I don't know if Winfield's going to be back. That's a good question. It was an ankle, so you wouldn't think it'd be too serious.
Randy, do you know?
I don't know for sure, but likely I would think he'd be likely to be back.
Yeah. So we're going for Tampa Bay here.
Or being an Austin guy, do you have to root for the Packers kind of, or is that just a high school thing?
Look, when did Green Bay become the Packers? I don't know. And when did Austin name themselves the Packers? I'm going to say Austin was first. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I'm going with the Austin Packers named first. They copied us.
Thanks, Bob.
With that, we'll say thank you to Coach, and we will move on to our players. Thanks, Coach.
Okay. See you guys.
Blake, you play a very defensive team in Notre Dame, and then you play a wide open offensive series against Arizona State. Now you're going back to a team with at least a reputation for defense in Ohio State. Do you have to just kind of play your own game, or do you have to adjust to what the opponent does a little bit?
I think a little bit of both. Coming from a Notre Dame series to ASU and then back to, I would say Ohio State's a little more defensive and they like to clog up the middle a little bit more. They don't let us have transition offense that we like to have. So, trying to get a little transition offense, I think that's what Gopher hockey kind of is. And also being a sound defensive team this weekend. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Jeff Wald, go ahead.
Blake, just what is it like to be part of a weekend where it seems like everybody's finding the net and everyone's getting involved in offense, and how do you carry that forward here this weekend?
Yeah, going back to last weekend, it was really fun. And seemed like every line was clicking, everyone could kind of just find the back of the net, so that was really fun. But carrying it into that week or this next weekend is kind of big because I think everyone's kind of felt their little scoring touch, got a little confidence from last weekend, and going against a team that usually has a reputation of letting up maybe 2 to 3 goals a night or maybe even one. So, knowing that we can score and we got guys up and down the lineup who can score gives us a great deal of confidence.
Like I heard your coach say one of his lessons coming out of the Notre Dame series was that he could be a little harder on you guys and a little tougher. What's practice been like this week, and what kind of messages are you getting from the coaching staff as you prep for Ohio State?
A lot of competing stuff. I think we kind of strayed away from it a little bit earlier in the year, and I think that Notre Dame series kind of showed that we just weren't ready to compete that weekend. So we've been doing a lot more just competing 2-on-2 battles and getting up and down the ice and kind of having a lot more net front battles. So,
are you seeing practice this week kind of mirror the same practices you had last week?
Yeah, pretty similar. Maybe a little more added details just for a different opponent that we're playing, but very similar.
Any additional questions for Blake?
Blake, your coach has said in the last few weeks, McLaughlin and Walker are back. Does it feel like you and Sammy are clicking again? And if so, what's been the difference as opposed to say a month ago?
Yeah, I think we're starting to click. I think we're nowhere near where me and Walker want to be, but I think, maybe rolling into Christmas break there, we were getting away from our game, cheating to offense, just not playing our 200-foot game that we really like to play. And I think coming back after break, we kind of got a refreshed mindset and just kind of looked at things a little different, said, hey, look, we need to get back in the D zone because all of our offense usually comes from having a good back check and turning it into quick transition defense against the defense that hopefully aren't ready for us to be coming with a lot of speed. So I think a lot of it's just transition with me and Walks, and I think we're finally finding that groove again where we're maybe a happy medium of back checking to the house and then kind of turn it into some offense. So.
Did you two, have a sit down at any point and say, hey, we got to do something different, or does it just kind of come?
I would say it just kind of comes. We don't really get too frustrated or too down on ourselves if we have a bad weekend. We know you're not going to play perfect every game. So, we're never get too down on each other or anything. But, I mean, there's probably one or two conversations where we really said, we kind of got to step up our game. So.
Thank you.
Scott, do you take those 20 goals from your last series and just have to forget about them with a new opponent coming up and one that plays the structured game like Ohio State does?
Yeah, absolutely. It was good to see offense out of our group and be able to put up those numbers. But like you said, this is a structure-based team, and we're going to see a different game here this weekend. So we'll have to be prepared in other ways.
Scott, have any differences turned out for Ohio State as you look at them as compared to when you first saw them earlier in the year, now that they've had a little bit of time to gel and develop their youngsters?
Absolutely, yeah. I think, a couple teams in the Big Ten looked really different this year. So we knew we were going to see progression out of many of these teams, and Ohio State's one of them. So we saw them early on in the season, and we know that they've progressed and, really started to mesh as a team. So it'll be a different game.
Scott, you've been watching Tommy Napier for a long time. What's the key to figuring him out?
He's a good goaltender. He's really good at facing the first shot. So it'll be important to get bodies around him and get him moving and get some rebounds off of him.
Thank you. Scott, just going back on the road again, your coach noted you hadn't gotten on a plane in a long time. Just is that a good thing at this point in the season?
Yeah, for sure. It's always good to get out of here for a bit. So we've had a lot of home games, obviously, with Arizona State. So it'll be nice to get on the road. Get the boys meshed in a hotel. It's always good to bond on the road, and it's definitely something we need right now.
Scott, rush scoring chances against a team like Ohio State are difficult to generate. What are keys for forwards as you look at even man rushes and decisions about getting your ground game going versus getting pucks to the net?
Yeah, definitely a structured team. So we're gonna have to play more of a possession game. Get bodies in the net. Work pucks low to high. Use our points and really get a ground game going in the offensive zone. Get some possession going against these guys.
Any other questions for Scott Reedy?
Scott, what's practice and film been like this week after a 20-goal weekend? There's probably plenty of highlights for the coaches to pick out, but what kinds of things are they showing you?
No, we really didn't look a whole lot into our highlights from this weekend. We kind of just put that weekend behind us. Obviously, it was a fun weekend, but we kind of flipped the script pretty quick here, and we started looking at Ohio State and preparing for Ohio State all week, looking at their structure and just understanding what type of game we have to play this weekend. So our mindset the whole week has been focused on Ohio State.
I think I heard your coach say that he learned after the Notre Dame series that he wanted to be a little tougher with you guys and hold you guys more accountable. Do you notice any kind of change in tone?
Yeah, obviously it's a different group he coaches every year, so just kind of finding the adjustments, how to work with this particular team. And that was an adjustment he had to make after the Notre Dame series. So just a couple drills in practice, a couple tweaks, nothing major, but just a couple more, I'd say battle-like drills and more game-like stuff. So it's been a little step up in the pace and practice, and it's been good for us.
Scott, your coach said, if it was the playoffs, you probably could have played against Notre Dame, but you waited another week. Everything good now? 20 goals kind of heal everything up?
Yeah, exactly. It's getting there. It's nice playing on the wing. I don't have to kind of worry about tweaking it on faceoffs right now. So it's definitely healing up, though. It's getting close.
Thanks.